Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. I know that finally, Thanksgiving of this year, with the CM Punk Art of Wrestling that was released, one of the biggest wrestling stories that was out there was when is the return of CM Punk? Finally he answered with CM Punk telling the story that he was actually fired from the WWE on his wedding day, and there was no shot of him ever coming back. Shortly after the Art of Wrestling was the UFC announcement that CM Punk would be heading to UFC, and now one of the biggest stories still in professional wrestling is CM Punk, because a lot of wrestling fans still hold on to being a CM Punk fan, and they're very loyal to him. I'm not the biggest CM Punk fan, but I respect CM Punk. This is something that he wants to do. I want him to go out, and I really do hope that he does become some sort of a star in UFC, winning some fights. At the same time, I would love to see him walk into the ring and get clobbered and TKO'd in the first minute of the fight by a guy like Conor McGregor or something like that. Conor McGregor having a big fight this Sunday on UFC Fox Sports 1. Make sure you check that out. I'll have a video up on that fight in a little bit. But I think a lot of people are really fishing around trying to find out when CM Punk is going to be ready. Of course, everybody knows he made the announcement, and then, of course, he went and did a press conference after the fact, and people were asking, well, where are you going to train? What weight class are you going to fight in? And CM Punk had no answers. The only answer that he had was that he had signed a deal with Dana White and UFC, and he now was under contract at UFC, and he was going to be a deal. I know that when he first did walk out, there was lots of stories that were put out there that maybe CM Punk would go to UFC and he would become an announcer, sort of sharing his love of the sport and being able to, use his words and use his opinions to get guys over and give a lot of people a reason to flip over. Now, with him actually being a fighter, that first fight is going to be huge. So a lot of people are trying to figure out, when is CM Punk going to be ready? Of course, he has finally picked a gym. He's going to be training out of Milwaukee, and which isn't far from his Chicago home. But I think a lot of people, much like me, when they saw the UFC announcement that on July 25th, UFC would be going to Chicago, would hope that would be the big debut of CM Punk in UFC. Everybody can remember all of the big crowds for Chicago going crazy for the Chicago-made CM Punk when he was a member of the Nexus on the go-home show to WrestleMania 27. He sat in the middle of the ring and opened up the show, and it was a great ovation for a heel CM Punk, getting a big a cheer of respect for him in his match for Randy Orton, which led up to the end of the show. Randy coming down and giving the punt to, who was that guy? The guy that got fired. The guy that everybody thought was Batista when he debuted. Damn it, it's really bugging me now that I can't remember what that guy's name was. But which made the match at WrestleMania a one-on-one match, and the Nexus wouldn't be able to run in because week after week, guys were getting eliminated, and guys weren't a part of the anymore because they were getting punted in the head and they were getting injured. McGillicuddy was out, and damn. And now I feel stupid because I can't. Mason Ryan. Mason Ryan was eliminated. Well, from there, of course, you go to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, CM Punk versus John Cena, probably one of the biggest matches of CM Punk's career that everybody's going to remember, where he wins. And then, of course, from there, he walks out on the WWE, only to return and fight at SummerSlam again a month later. And then Payback, when he returns from his injury after WrestleMania 29, taking some time off, fighting against Chris Jericho in a good match, and leading to the turn between him and Paul Heyman at the Money in the Bank soon. But that would be a great place for him to make his debut. The only problem is that's going to be a UFC on Fox, free television special, and so many wrestling fans are so glued that when guys, are going to have a big match, you pay for it on pay-per-view. And UFC's not dumb. CM Punk's not dumb. They know that when he does debut, no matter if he is going to be the greatest fighter or if he knows that he might have bit off more than he can chew, he's going to get into that ring and it's going to be a co-main event, and people are going to buy that show just because it's CM Punk, and you're going to bring in people that aren't normally UFC fans to watch that show. Some people might even be seeing their first UFC event just because CM Punk's on it. But I think that is a problem with it being UFC on Fox. Of course, Fox pays a huge deal to UFC, but I think they are losing on a big amount of money. It's going to be UFC on Fox 14. I can remember back to the first UFC on Fox special where there was the build-up to the big fight. They had like an hour-long pre-show. The fight happened, and then the fight ended in about 3 minutes, leading to them having like another hour post-show of nothing, because the fight ended in the first round, and they thought that it was going to be a big deal. They didn't have anything on the backup plan to fill that out, but it is what it is. It shows you that UFC is a real sport. It's not predetermined. Maybe that's one thing that I like about wrestling, because if that was a Saturday night's main event or a Monday Night Raw or anything like that, Vince McMahon would have had something planned to go out there and fill the time, or at least gave you your money's worth to stretch that out over the whole time. But everybody's still looking to see when Punk's debut is going to be. It would have been awesome to see Punk debut in Chicago, but more than likely that's not going to happen.